Hi everybody. So first of all, Happy New Year to all attendees. And thanks for joining this first webinar for DALIM software. And finally, regarding the amazing year we had last year, at the top of the damn things, I really wanted to start a new webinar with someone who worked a lot during the last year, Mark Darvey. And this is really an opportunity for you to, in 2009, starting the year, to see finally how you can select a DAM system. And so you will see that it's a tough task. It's not so easy regarding the fact that you have so many solutions in this digital workspace. So I think it was interesting for you to get the work that Mark did during over the last 2 years, and you get some very amazing discovery of his stuff. So on my side, of course, I will present also some facts and trends, and I will finish with a small demonstration. So we are both Mark and myself online. So regarding myself, so I think most of you know about me. So it's I'm working in this industry since a couple of times, so as many as a DAM manager since more than 25 years. I worked mainly in France for agencies, so retailers, photography. And since the last 7 years, I'm working for DALIM software as pre-sales and now as marketing manager. So feel free to contact me for anything. So you have got all the links there. And so now I will I will make Mark as a presenter.
Thank you, Fred. Just checking you can hear me.
Yes.
And that you can see my screen okay. Yep, looks good. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. Special thanks to Fred and DALIM for allowing us to show you how we at the codifiedconsultant.com approach the complexity that is digital asset management. For us, DAM is a science. It's driven by metadata, and it's powered by integrations. I've been helping companies create DAM strategies and evaluate DAM vendors for, well, more years than I can count. And in this time, I've seen so many wrong terms, lacks of basic strategy, poor planning, misunderstanding, and way too much siloed enabled politics. But if you focus on people, information, systems, and processes, and you realize that there are only a number of touch points where integrators, creators, curators, analysts, and archives come into contact or multiple contact with content, then you see the power of this content and the ability or the need to measure it. So for me and my company, we know that there is a process for getting a complex set of moving parts together in order to budget and form a solid strategy. Excuse me. We have codified this into 6 steps for DAM success, and we built a database of more than 134,000 data points that we are using to cover every aspect of DAM you will need to build a solid business case, a people-centric strategy, and most of all, trust in how it should be approached from the get-go. So let's take a look into the database. As I said, the first thing we've done is we've broken down developing a strategy for DAM into 6 steps. And those 6 steps are as follows: gap analysis, resource audits, requirements gathering, governance, use case scenarios, and finally, vendor selection. So let's take you through how we do it within our database that we allow our customers to subscribe to. So let's go to gap analysis. So this is a form-based system that we use to send out to a silo or a company and just ask them to benchmark themselves against the DAM maturity model. This is our gap analysis formula. So the first thing we're looking at is people. What are their technical expertise? What's their understanding and participation with DAM? What's the business expertise they currently have within their workflows? And are they aligned? What's their alignment? And we have 5 dimensions of measuring that across people, across processes, looking at workflows, looking at governance, looking at integrations. Then we move on to systems. We want to know the prevalence. We want to know the security. We basically want to know where everybody is in the mix. But at the same time, we really want to look at what information is being generated and what can we do with that information? How can we evaluate people against the gap analysis itself? And just these basic 15 questions start to yield some really detailed information about how to approach a strategy for identifying your silos and your users, looking at how much time they are spending in terms of searching for content. And here we have 22 use case scenarios. And as we can see, there's 173 hours per week just searching for materials. So that already starts to build a budgeting case for you. If you average the average salary across those many hours, then you can start to see what the cost benefit of doing something like this is. But also you need to look at, when you go into the processes and the systems, you start to see the convoluted workflows, the stress levels, and these are all factors that come into the overall maturity of the company. And then you can build a strategy on this basis, looking at who needs change management, who needs training, who are the gurus, who's going to sit on your stakeholder panel. So that's the first level. The second is resource audits, and that's where we really want to have a look at the content types, the tools being used. So where are these people? Are they ideators? Are they creators? Are they curators? Are they looking at the DAM system from an analysis point of view? So we want to go into content types. We go into the key actions that people need to do their job on a daily basis. You know, what's the content being used for? What types of assets are used? What types of problems are they experiencing? Does this match to their key actions? And what's the software used in all these processes? And you start to aggregate this information. It builds a much deeper, detailed picture of the organization, the tools they're using, and the problems they're experiencing. Like I said, this is just a simple form that we can capture this information. Here we're only using 22 people, but it could do a whole organization. So once you've got that information, you start to realize, you know, who within the organization is going to be able to give you real detailed requirements. Are they at a level of maturity within the gap analysis that you can say, actually, yeah, this part of the organization is adopting best practice or using the best tools for this, whereas other parts of the organization might not be. It might be that they just don't know what they don't know, or they've never been shown a way for doing it better, where they're not wasting so much time searching for materials or indeed convoluted workflow processes. So once we get into this, we can start to measure the requirements. And really, you want people that are the higher level of the spectrum, not ad hoc or incipient. You know, they're either formative or they're operational. And then you start to really drill into the requirements that they want. So what we have here is key actions against asset lifecycle activities. And you can see that what happens, whether they're an ideator or a curator or a creator, that you're starting to see that many different work groups have the same issues or the same requirements just to do their daily jobs. And that, again, they may well have certain specifications when it comes to the requirements themselves. So as I said at the beginning, we have 134,000 data points on here to start building the gap analysis, the resource audits, and the requirements. Now, once you get into the requirements and you've captured the requirements across the workflows, this starts to help you build your governance model. And so what we have is a way of mapping governance to requirements. You know, what is governance? What are the governance attributes? Who's the DAM going to serve? What's the purpose statement of the governance, the compliance, the taxonomy, the metadata, the control vocabularies? And indeed, where we're looking nowadays is the data ethics. So you can map all this out, you pick up these pieces using the form, and ultimately, this will take you into use case scenarios. And what we've done here is we've already pre-mapped a set of 22 use case scenarios directly to vendor capability, because we've benchmarked and we only work with accredited DAM vendors who have passed the 10 core characteristics test, such as DALIM. And we benchmark that against the vendor capability, the vendor score, and how well they've actually scored against the 10 core characteristics. So in this case, we're looking at a photographer, and we can see from this that this particular vendor, who's number one in the photographer position, is scoring 96.99% of the requirements. Now, once you start to factor that in with all your users, it starts to build a real good picture about the types of issues you're going to have with a particular vendor. So when they're in the red, they're at below 60% or 60% of the capability. So someone's going to be upset. What you really want to be is the sort of the 80, 90%. So if we look at this vendor in particular, you know, most of their scoring is in the high 90%. They are a starting price of 100,000. They've got a very good 10 core score, and they've got good customer support. Although there is a flag for threat level, and there'll be a description about the threat level around that particular vendor itself. Let's come out of this. But what you really want to do is profile the individual users through the requirements, through the gap analysis. You know, which departments are they in? What type of creator are they on? How are they in terms of their evaluation? What are their key actions performed? What's the content used for? And then map that directly to the vendor capabilities. In this way, once you do the initial gap analysis, you are looking at your first adopters, or the people that need training, or the people that need change management, but also you're seeing exactly who is fit for the requirements and who's going to struggle to reach the requirements. And therefore, we get to our final step, which is the vendor analysis. So, step 6, vendor selection. What you know, what you don't have, what you already have, what you want, and how you're going to set things up. What you want, you approach vendors to find out the vendor that's best fit for you. Sadly, most people go directly to vendors. Vendors are there to sell licenses. They really should be asking you, you know, have you done your evaluation of the company? Have you got a strategy in place? What's your governance model look like? What's your metadata standards that you're adhering to? What's your full strategy? And then that way, they can make sure that they are the correct company for you. But sadly, most people just go directly to a vendor because they think that it is a vendor's going to solve their problem. But without getting these things right in the first place, everybody's going to struggle. So what we've done is we've done all the heavy lifting. We've evaluated these particular vendors that you see here, and there's 36 of them. We have evaluated more vendors than 36, but sadly today we have a 30% fail rate for companies not doing well on the 10 core characteristics. What you can do through ours is you can look at vendor details, you can look at reports, you can look at the technical specifications of each particular vendor, so you can ask real detailed questions because you've done all the heavy lifting in terms of the gap analysis, the resource audit, the requirements gathering, and your governance. And then ultimately, it comes down to, what are the scores for ingest as a strategy? How does it look when you're looking at security? What do you need to know in terms of rendering, transforming for your end users and indeed the people who are working in the workflows behind your firewall? This all gets aggregated, so you're not only looking at a price comparison, you're not looking at just operating systems, you're deep diving into vendor analysis. And if you work with accredited vendors, you know that they are already fit for purpose in a strategy. So finally, you then want to look at how you're going to expand your reach and scope through workflows and processes and ultimately systems. And then finally, if we look here, we can look at the vendors in terms of value for money and customer support. So you can go right down to IT, looking at the basics of what are the parameters, the cost involvement, and the types of vendors that you have. If you're an enterprise-based company and you're only working with a silo-centric vendor, then you're going to have problems. Indeed, if you're looking at multiple enterprise applications, then you want to look at how good the APIs are, or what is the cloud package. All this is already pre-codified. But what you can do with the codified consultant is you can go on and you can get paper forms that kind of detail this strategy and process. So let's look at a typical marketing manager and the types of questions that we're asking to get this granular with mapping them to vendor capabilities. So here we're looking at Marcus in marketing. This particular vendor reaches 94.57% of the requirements for Marcus. It reaches 100% on the user interface, on DAM requirements functionality. So it's a higher ranking vendor, and DALIM ranks very well for this particular marketing manager. But as you see, as you get deeper and deeper, you get more edge in terms of where you're going to have issues with your users, where you're going to compromise, or indeed the longer term play for looking at integrations, particularly managed integrations. So let's go right back from the start. 6 steps to DAM success. We have codified this whole process in a DAM toolkit, which is a step-by-step guide for getting digital asset management right the very first time. It teaches the users how to approach DAM with a guided expertise of deep domain experts, which is us. And this knowledge is codified directly into the 6 steps for DAM success. Fred, I think I'm done.
Okay. Okay, so thanks, Mark. Back to me here. So first of all, I've got some so a couple of things I wanted to do. So before starting explaining some facts and trends in the markets, I prepared some polls. Or I will start first of all with one of them, which is do you plan to invest into a DAM system? So this year, so just have a couple of seconds to say yes or no. And at the end of the keynote, I will ask you a couple of questions regarding the 10 core features. So okay, so looks like we have 20% of people searching for a solution, and 80% or looks like already have a solution. Okay, so thank you. I will close the poll now. So back to a slide. So one of the first trend is, and so much more important regarding what we can see in the market, and especially on our side, is all about the necessary, in fact, to get a DAM. So, and we can see in most of the reports, Gartner, PwC, that by large organization, it's always a mess. Too many people are still using some basic automation to share the content. Okay. The second point is, of course, what does a DAM do? And this is exactly what Mark was explaining to us. This is, first of all, the repository of all your content and any type of content. So it's perhaps basic, but you can see if you want to be successful at the end, that's something very important to keep in mind, okay? And of course, one of the main targets is to break down the silos in the organization. And so just to give you a quick overview, in fact, how it looks like about all these 10 core features regarding the DAM, it's all about, of course, the user experience. So the ability to quick select and reject your assets. And of course, I'm using all the ESDAM screenshots of the solution. So just like the capabilities to control the files, to mark up the files, and at the end of my keynote, I will make you a quick live demo for that. So the metadata is also very important. So the ability to support read and write, XD5 PTC, taxonomy, facets. The power of search, so important because this is the first thing you are doing in the DAM. So searching for asset in order to reuse them based on color selection, based on auto tagging, manage video files, the ability to transform your assets from one format to the other, 3D files, which is even more important, especially regarding packaging markets. The connectivity to Adobe CC suites, InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, and also the power of the user experience. So it has to be simple. Okay, so for the end user, so much important. And regarding all that features, something you saw in my presentation is that at the end of the day, 2 years ago, DALIM software with ES passed successfully all the tests and are fully 10 core and beyond the compliance. So next trend is, in fact, today, DAM is just a part of your ecosystem. And I like using this graphic from a history group. So because we are talking today about this marketing cocktail. So, and around this marketing cocktail, your system has to be able to figure out all the challenges for the communication channel. So, at the end of the day, your DAM is something even more. So, because as you can see, and we're a couple of times last year, during us, for example, the Harris World events, we are talking about DAM, PIM, MRM, etc. So, and in fact, your DAM is really at the center. This is the hub of your digital content, and with the ability to ingest text, XML files, etc., and to be able to populate all that information in all your communication channels. I will say this one is perhaps the most important because we see so many people, okay, if you really want to get benefits of your DAM, and if you are looking how people are working today, it's all about workflows, in fact. And really, and this is one of the main headlines we had these last 2 years is enterprise workflow meets enterprise DAM. And in fact, you have so many stakeholders in large organizations, and you need to manage the approval cycle between all the stakeholders. So the ability to get a real workflow engine and not simply just some metadata to say that it's okay or not. And if you are able to manage such workflow, you can easily imagine to be able to handle this type of use case scenario. So from the capture to the production and up to the distribution. And today we have so many customers using such workflow within ES. The next one is so much important. It's all about the API because Of course, and we have this challenge as a vendor. Every time people asking for us, okay, it should be nice if I can get something different. I want to personalize, to customize something. Uh, that's a real challenge because you cannot get and you can produce so many skins, UI, different user experience. So the API is really at the core of the user experience. So it's so important to be able to support most of the features of your DAM in order to enrich the customer experience. So the next trend is all about the data. So everybody's talking about big data. So and that's also a challenge for DAM system because you have in most large organizations you have so many facilities around the world that you need to your DAM system has to be able to aggregate this information. So this is something we are calling multiple sites, the ability to control the asset where they are and to optimize this information between the facilities. The other thing is trade number 8 is all about KPIs. So KPIs are so important today, and it's not all about in fact, the log activity. It's all about custom metadata, the ability to drill down some information, to use some filters. So today, yes, is powered by Kibana and Elasticsearch, and you can also connect some third-party products like Sisense to get another type of experience. Trade number 9, it's all about the migration. So of course today we are used to, especially when we are a vendor since a couple of time to get on premise, but more and more regarding the trends for the next 3 years, it's more and more in the cloud, but you have different types of cloud. It's not all about AWS, so Amazon, Microsoft with Azure or Google platform. Sometimes you have to make a mix or something we are calling hybrid cloud. And you can see that today it's not all about the website. And you can see in this analytics that it's also about web application. So, and it's growing and growing. So today you are doing everything in the cloud. And this is where we are today. So you can imagine this migration from on-premise to the full SaaS service or to infrastructure as a service. But at the end of the day, when you have to make a selection, we still believe that innovation is really at the core of your choice. So you need something that makes the difference at the end of the day for your customers. So innovation regarding you need to finally to find a way to get a mix of all these marketing stacks, all this technology inside. And the DAM is not only a list of features. You need to be smart. You need to innovate in order to get something nice. Of course, when we are talking about the market, it's all about acquisition, and we had a couple of them during the last years regarding some people. So we have always this type of move in the market. So now I will make a quick live demonstration. I will move. So this is my ES55. So you can customize the user experience. So I've got my user. So I set a one user with a one profile. Okay. So you can log into the system. So if I'm looking to my DAM capabilities, so I will going direct to one of my placeholders, so I can view all my assets. You have different types of user experience. So as for example, this one, I like it, especially as soon as you are from creative operation, it's so important to get this type of experience coming from Capture One, Lightroom. So you can easily make a quick and select reject. You can really use all your workspace of your display in order to get a great user experience, and you can zoom in without using any third-party application. Something which is so important is regarding, so one of the components we have inside is which is dialog. So dialog engine, software viewer. This file is 1 gig on the files in the system. So you can of course markup okay, and you get a stunning view of your assets. So it's even faster than opening in Photoshop. So it's responsive. It's very easy to use. It's color accurate, and it's doing even more than, because if I'm looking at, as for example, that picture, you can manage revisions, which is something cool. So as you can see, I've got 3 regions there. And of course, you can compare revisions with different types of experience. So you can compare like this with a separator, you have side by side, okay, and it's very quick, it's fast. So that's nice work. Of course, you can manage also any type of assets. As for example, here it's InDesign file. Okay, and if I'm looking at the InDesign file, I can see the asset links for the reason why that, in fact, I've got my InDesign document. So I'm using, we have a plugins driven by Silicon Publishing, which is a top leader in plugins and Adobe technologies. So you can search using HTTP links. You can manage your revisions at the top, as you can see, from 1 to 2, etc. So, and then you can, of course, upload your package into ES. Regarding the metadata, it's so very important. So you can really customize anything you want. So IPTC, auto tagging, custom metadata, taxonomy in order to drive your content. Regarding this content, I will move to some video files, or I think this one. So you can manage, of course, video files. You can mark up the video like this, and then you can play your video. And so you can really manage any type of files, Office document, video, 3D files, etc. At the top, something which is very important is the search. So if I'm searching for my assets from pictures from Cannes, so I can customize the search, of course. And if I'm searching for, I will use one feature, which is the color. So if I'm searching for asset like this, so what I can do, I can find some similarity of the same picture. I can start as, for example, a workflow. So from that selection, what I can do is I can create, as for example, I will create a new job. So I will start really my workflow. So this is my approval. So it's based on a workflow here in which I can add some people for my organization. So I'll add my journals, for example, here as an approver with different types, different roles, and then I can save. And then the only thing I have to do is looking at my dashboard so I can view, or at the end of the day, my project. So you receive an email invitation, you can see your to-do list, and it's very quick, easy, fast. So you can look at your assets. You can see, thanks to a milestone bar, the progress of your workflow, and then you can approve the content as it is, and job done. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Some more things you can do regarding SOAR files, you can do a lot of actions. So just like, as for example, you can convert and SOAR transform your assets. So I just want to grab this one like this. Okay, and I want to get a TIFF. That's fine. So, and sometimes, especially in agencies, it's something. So I've got my file. You can also, as for example, start for a contact sheets. Okay, so this one is for my demo. Okay, that's fine. And so I can share that content at any time. So I can view here, so the crop, and here I can view the contact sheet. So, and as you can see, it's very easy, seamless, very, very easy to use. Something it's very important. You can also a lot of KPIs. So the system is driven by Elasticsearch. So, and if I'm looking at my analytics, so you can see who is doing what in different types of formats, etc. We were talking about also the user experience. So something we can do is just change the login, and I can get a different other user experience. So very easy to use. You can drive a search or two like this, and you can get some more information. You can drag and drop. What you can also do, because this is one of the things I was explaining, is, and so of course the API is something very important today, as we saw in the trends. So with ES we have a strong API, a JSON APC API, CMS API. So this is just an example of what we can do. So based on our web framework, so it's fully responsive, it's super nice, super fast. As you can see here, I can search for my assets, boom, here, and I can review some of my assets. It's a quick, so I can make a quick selection of a couple of my assets like this. Then I get some actions, go back to my selection, and there I can share. So this is something we can do within the API. The next thing is also all about the distribution. So you can use a CMS in order to streamline your content, because the CMS is perhaps one of the best portal you can get for your brand, and you can get different type of experience. Just like, as for example, from your PDF file, you can easily search for I'm searching for, as for example, my engine in the file. So, and we are able to find all the different keywords in my PDF. So different type of publication we can get. Okay, so this was a quick demonstration. So I will be back to the keynote. So in the meantime, I've got a second poll I wanted to do, which is all about the most important for you regarding some core features. So I just launched a poll now, so you have some time in order to tell me what is the most important for you in the DAM system. So you have a choice between metadata, workflows, KPIs, mobile responsive, user experience. And so the result is really at the top is really workflows. So first workflow, second metadata, and user experience. Thank you. Okay. Of course, something I missed to tell you, if you have any question, you can use the panel in order to ask some questions to me or to Max. So now I will just finish with a couple of things regarding all the benefits we can get from a DAM system. So of course, it's all about the brand awareness and to bring more online engagement. And something was also important for us to share is, and when you have to select a DAM, I was one of his customers 10 years ago, and we just have hundreds of solutions, and now it's just thousands. So, and as you can see, regarding the DAM, it's somewhere in the middle, and of course we are there, but just imagine the challenge for any customer to find out the right solution. And of course, reason why, especially by DALIM software, we are really tied to and work really close to equity software in order to test our system. It's so important to be close to what our customer is asking for. Much more important than anything else, really based on real use case scenario as we saw with Mark. And as we can see, we perform well with different types of demo scenarios, from brand management, packaging management. And it's not something you have for life. So it's something we're working every time with our team of Mark, and so very important. We also have some other I will say references, very important also regarding the web awareness. It's all about the capture, and this year, DALIM ES is ranking at the top of the best 20 DAM solutions. If you are looking at some experts in the industry, well, of course, you have between the simple and the more complex DAM solutions. The DAM landscape from the last one from September from History Group. So it's a closer selection. And of course, one other thing is important is this map, this subway map from different types of even if we are talking about WCM, ECM, DAM system. And so DAM is a new station in this map. So we are very excited to be there. And also that's something we need to continue in order to improve the awareness of the solutions. But I will say at the end of the day, whatever solution you have to choose, it's so important to get the right team. So please think about to get the right dam manager. Otherwise, it will be much more difficult. So just as a conclusion, so it's all about today about some cloud security, user experience, performances, and everything. It's all about them and it's all about yes, and this is what we are doing. I will just finish with some events. As last year, we will be part of the DAM Harry Stewart event, starting and the next one is New York at the beginning of May. And you can get, since yesterday, Harry Stewart event, they have a very new website. Before New York, something I missed to say, it's a creative operation in London. So I will be there also with all the DALIM team. The next big thing is also our audio, which is our marketing events. And so feel free to register. We have some very, very special prize before the end of this month. So this is the time. You cannot miss this event. It's all about engagement. It's all about user and customer experience. We get some speakers, customers, and some. So this year we get Teresa, we get Karen from Borden, a customer of us. We get also the USO, which is the event of the US DALIM user in the US, of course. And this year it's in Nashville, beginning of April. So feel free to register. Back to us if you need more information. And I will also share with you everything we have regarding this, all the contents. Really so important to get more and more content. So visit the website, resources, video, you get all the posts, all the latest webinar, all the latest information. Just like the YouTube channel, so with hundreds of videos between testimonials, white papers. And in about 1 year, we just unveiled 6 white papers from packaging to brand asset management. So we have one paper from David Lipsey, latest one, creative workflow from Teresa Regley, and so another one I did last year, and also another one which is all about the automation and retail marketing, because just 2 weeks ago, DALIM Software was at NRF, and very great show, great success for all the team regarding the retail. So just to finish, of course, Happy New Year again to all of you. Thank you really for your time. I will just see if you have any questions regarding this webinar. Of course, at the end of the day, this webinar will be shared on our website. So go to video or YouTube channel. But feel free to connect, and you get all this information. You can review the downloads. So it's all about now 45 minutes now. So I will wait for some couple of seconds if you have some questions. So one of the question I have is, of course, yes, we will do other webinars this year. So mainly we are trying to do, I think the next webinar will be a more product one, so really based and driven by the latest updates, because as you know, we are about to release a new version of ES 6. So stay tuned. We will organize a couple of one webinar. Feel free also to visit our partners, whatever in the US with Blanchard System, who already did a webinar, or in the UK with IO integration, with Ethos, Galileo in France, and all our German partner from Gafikon, Schwaberbrand. So we have you can find all our partners on the website. And I've got one other question is, yes, and perhaps this question is more for Mark. So the only thing I have to do is to make Mark as a presenter. And the question is, this question is interesting for you, Mark, is finally today, can we really speak about a DAM standard? So do we have a real DAM standard? And especially it's coming from some of our customers who are used to, in the graphic art industry, to get some PDF normalization. So Mark, I will give you make you as a presenter. Oops.
It's okay, Fred. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer the question, there are no real DAM standards. The only standards that have really been created so far were the work that we did in the DAM Foundation for the dammaturityModel.org. So that's the standard, if you like, for gap analysis. And then what we introduced in terms of the 10 core characteristics is a standard for capability for digital asset management systems. A lot of media asset management systems, brand asset management systems, marketing asset management systems have taken the test and failed. And it's the reason that we say that DAM is a science driven by metadata, powered by integrations. Hopefully, as the reach and scope of DAM go more into the master data management worlds, which we're seeing, and that the strategies and the policies for governance are coming together more closely, then we'll start to see more standards appear as that happens.
Do you hear me, Mark?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah. Can you show perhaps where people can just to visit your website and get more information regarding how it works, subscription, etc.?
Yeah, so dammaturityModel.org is a site that we run, and then the codifiedconsultant.com, both of those cover the 10 core characteristics and break it down to the 22 variables. There's also some tools that you can use on our site for evaluating vendors who are not already evaluated on the 10 core list of 36 vendors.
Okay, so that's fine. So I think we are close to the end. So I've got no more question, but feel free really to be back to us, follow us, and you get more information regarding all the events and all the DAM events we get this year. That's a really great pleasure. I would like really to thank you, Mark, for your time. And so, as I will say, never settle. And so, looking forward to talk more about DAM this year.